So I know I haven't met all of you personally, so I just want to tell you a little bit about, my journey and what we're going to be talking about today. I worked for a financial services company for almost 20 years, both in the field and the home office. I sat in conference after conference, took numerous exams, coached hundreds of advisors, and managed my way through all the technology and the acronyms. And boy, do we love the acronyms. But the one thing that still concerned me about getting my own clients was not wanting to be seen as a salesperson. When I started my own business, my initial fantasy was that someone else could bring me my clients and I could just help them execute. And go ahead and laugh, drop your comments in the chat, but I'm probably not the only one that ever had that dream. As an introvert, I felt uncomfortable approaching people I didn't know. I never felt like I was great at being persuasive. I was that kid in school that never raised their hand to speak up. If my older sister Joan wasn't there to make me go meet new neighbors when they moved in across the street, I would have just waited for us to come to for them to come to us eventually, hopefully. I always felt like my work should just speak for itself. I remember talking with my coach and telling her that I feared that people I previously worked with wouldn't even remember me. They'd say, "Jennifer, who?" I understand activity ratios, but I wondered if it was all about asking people who they knew, if I had what it takes to deal with the rejection that came with that. Then I remember calling my mom. And let me tell you, in my family, there's 6 of us kids. We talked a lot, but we never really truly talked a lot growing up. There aren't a lot of specific conversations I remember with my mom, but this one stuck with me. My mom reminded me about how many entrepreneurs were in our family, including her. And for so many years, I was an entrepreneur and hadn't even really thought about that, from Girl Scouts to babysitting to waitressing. It was that conversation and the help of a coach that started to shift my thoughts about sales and prospecting. So now, instead of waiting for someone else to bring me clients, I found that it's actually one of the aspects of the business that I enjoy most, because I've always been a connector. I just had to remind myself that that's what I'm doing. I'm making introductions and asking for introductions versus chasing leads. And while asking for introductions isn't going away, by making it sound and feel like me, I have the confidence to do it despite it being hard, and can even turn it into a game. And as an athlete, I love games. I know it's only one play in how I get introductions, and I have an entire playbook that I can pull from. So whether you've had your best year ever, you've fought to maintain through turbulence, or you've had a setback this year, this webinar is really for you, to help you avoid that January slump and to accelerate your business into the new year. My story, I know, is not unique. Many people struggle with client acquisition and how to meet more ideal clients without feeling like they're a salesperson. My name's Jennifer Hensley, and I believe that you deserve to work with more of your ideal clients, and that client acquisition can actually be fun. So in the past 20 years, I've helped over 1,500 small business owners just like you score more and better clients. So in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to give you the 3 fastest ways to accelerate your business in the new year. Let me just share my screen here and we'll dive into it. So we're going to talk about increasing consideration to do business with you by being known, liked, and trusted, nurturing relationships, and enhancing the client experience. This is a part of the marketing winning system to help you score that will have the most value to you to quickly accelerate your business in 2022. The reason we're talking about this today is because if you wait, you're going to lose a whole month and you're already behind on your goals. And just asking isn't always the answer, or let's face it, the most fun. Imagine what it would feel like to be ahead of pace for your goals at the end of January. Do you see it? Can you feel it? Do you want it? So I want to ask everybody that's on the line so far a poll to get an idea of where you feel like you're at compared to these accelerators for your business. So let me bring up the poll here. Okay. So we'd like for you to rate yourself from 1 to 5, with 5 being exceptional on how you're doing. And we're going to do this 3 times. We're going to do it on each of these areas that we're talking about today. So the first part, I want you to rate yourself from 1 to 5 on how you feel like you're doing with increasing consideration by being known, liked, and trust. So you should be able to see the poll and to input your selection there from 1 to 5. Interested to see where you think you're at today. So we'll give you a minute to do that. I'll drink some more water, try to stay hydrated here so we don't start coughing. Give it just a little minute more. So rate yourself from 1 to 5 on how you feel like you're doing with being known, liked, and trusted so that more people are interested in doing business with you. Okay, we'll end the poll. Okay, so we had some 3s and 4s there. So usually this is the area where people feel like they have some foundation there, but there's some opportunity, and we're going to talk about that today. I'm going to close that poll. We're going to do this again, and this time, we are going to do it in terms of nurturing relationships. Where do you feel like you're at with nurturing relationships from 1 to 5? Curious to see if feel like this is stronger than creating an advocate, or than being known, liked, and trusted, or about the same, or maybe not quite as good for you. Take a minute to let us know where you think you're at with that. Okay, we'll end the poll there. We're lots of 3s and 4s again, a little bit different distribution, but everybody kind of in that range. And then we're going to do this one more time here. And this time, rate yourself 1 to 5, once again, with 5 being high, on how you feel like you're doing on creating advocates through your experience and how you're enhancing that experience. Okay, this time we had a little bit more distribution. Yeah, some at 1 and some at 4. So some opportunities there, it sounds like, for some of you. So thanks for taking some time and reflecting on that. You know, if we know where we are at today, we can best identify where we want to go and how we can get there. So put your devices away. Besides the screen that you're on, close all those other devices, those windows, those notifications, and stay with me to the end. And let's get into our content for today. So the first thing that I'd like to talk about is, how do you increase consideration for people to do business with you by being known, liked, and trusted? Because people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. We've all heard that. We're all familiar with it. But what are some ways that you can do this faster, or for people that you may not even know personally, how can you create that kind of relationship? So let me give you a few quick wins that you can probably implement immediately. And then also a few value add opportunities that might take you a few months, or maybe even more than that to tackle. But let's break this down, take some notes on what stands out to you. A few immediate ways to accelerate your business in this space is to, 1, create a custom social media post that shares your story. Tell people about you. Tell people about the wins in your business, or the things that you're struggling with as it approaches the holidays and year end. People want to connect with you. They want to hear what's going on. 2, invite more people to connect and follow you to grow your audience. Do you have a standard process for when you invite people to connect with you on LinkedIn? But what also about, Facebook or other ways that you might create community and build that for your audience? And then another option would be to ensure that your website really talks about who you help, how you help them, what that problem is that you solve, and who you are. So a few things that you can do that might take a little bit longer to implement would be to make sure that you align your message consistently across all your digital platforms. Develop a capability stack, or for some of you might refer to that as a firm profile that you can use as part of your onboarding process to really talk about you and your team and how you work with people. Obtain testimonials or stories of how you've helped others just like them. That's one of my favorites for certain. And to develop a lead generation plan that uses at least 3 different strategies to help you grow your business. So everyone's going to tell you that the measure of success is how many QSs, how many introductions you have. But I'm telling you not to forget about the people that you don't know that are looking at you, that have heard about you. They're out there and you haven't even had a conversation with them directly, but your online image is having a conversation with them indirectly. So let me give you the best place to start. Post something that happened this week, whether it was a question you heard, something you read, or like I said, maybe something about how your end of year is looking. Those custom posts create 30 times the level of engagement and will jumpstart how you're known, liked, and trusted. That's all I have to say about increasing consideration for client acquisition. So let's dive into our next topic. Nurturing relationships. The reason we'll spend the next 5 minutes discussing nurturing relationships is because of 1031. It's about activity. Not everyone's going to buy immediately, but even those that do will likely also have additional needs down the road that you can solve for them. So it's important that we continue to nurture those relationships, whether they buy now or they maybe potentially buy later. So once again, let me give you some immediate ideas that you can accelerate your business with, and then some ideas that might take a little while to implement. So a couple of quick wins for you is to invite your prospects to your newsletter early in the sales process so they can continue to learn what you do and how you help people. If you wait until they're already a client, you're missing all those people that said, hey, I'm interested, but maybe not right now, or I'm not ready. So think about how you can do that earlier in the process. Comment on their content, whether it's a social media post, an article they wrote, or they were featured in a blog or an award. Lead with value and show up where they're at. Here's a ninja tip for you. Identify your dream 25 people that would make great clients. Each day, engage or comment with one or more, maybe it's 3 each day via a comment, a direct message, a text, some other manner. And in 90 days, you'll have engaged with possibly all 3 or all 25 3 times. I'm curious, I want to hear from you. Drop in the chat, what would that do for your business if you connected with 25 of your ideal clients 3 times each over the next 90 days? So drop that in the chat. Let's see what we've got here. Let me hear your thoughts and what kind of difference that could make for you. Amy says, hit your goals quicker for 2022. Yeah. Definitely can make a big difference there in terms of connecting more often, more intentionally with those ideal clients, those future clients that you want to have. I was working with my client, Daniel, recently, who wasn't really on social. Not everybody is, amazingly. But when we started to talk about how to engage others in social and in their social platforms, rather than it just being about what he was putting out, he was so excited. In our first quarter working together, he started to see more of his ideal clients than ever before by showing up for his clients where they were at. Everyone else is talking about what you should post, but I say even more than that, it's how can you show up for others? For some of you that aren't overwhelmed yet, you're going to run right back to your office. You're going to implement everything we talked about today, but avoid these mistakes. Trying to do everything immediately, making this a one and done, and feeling like you must do it all yourself. So that's all I have to say about nurturing relationships. Let's move on to our final topic, enhancing the experience. And this is our final portion of our session for today. Then we're going to open it up for questions. So it'd be great if you had some questions that you're thinking about, write it down, put it in the Q&A, or go ahead and drop it in the chat, and we'll make sure to take those in just a few minutes. So in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to give you some ways to enhance the client experience. So if you have a piece of paper or on the chat, I want you to think about this question. Okay, see if you can see that there. What is the, and I have bad handwriting, but hopefully you can all kind of see what I'm hitting here. What is the client experience that you want to provide? What's the client experience that you want? What does that look like for you? So reflect on that. Think about that for just a minute. If you want to drop that in the chat, curious of anything that comes to mind for those of you that are on the call with us today. Okay. Now that you've reflected on that, I want you to take it one more step further. Instead of the client experience, I want you to think about what is the prospect. What is the potential client? What is the prospect experience that you want to deliver? Is that the same? Is that different? Have you really thought about it from a prospect experience? Now that you've thought about what you want to deliver, one more question for you is, let me put it this way. What is the gap? What's the gap between what you're providing today and what you want to deliver to your clients and to your prospects? What's different? What needs to change? You know, the reason we're going to talk about enhancing the experience is because when you can create raving fans, that's the best way to generate new leads without you even having to ask. And this is often when we start to have the most fun in our business. So what are some quick wins in this space to maybe help you close that gap? It might be to send a handwritten note. You know, it's so rare anymore that it really does set yourself apart from others. Provide an unsolicited recommendation. What would it mean if you were to provide a testimonial or a review for a potential client or an existing client about your experience without them even having to ask you for it? How important would that be for you and be to them? A few other things that could take a little bit to implement, but add extreme value for you would be to review your entire process for points of friction. If you were a client and you went through every step of working with you, what would you like? What would frustrate you? What could be better? Develop a client engagement plan to meaningfully connect with your top clients and prospects at least 18 times a year. And then make sure you execute on that engagement plan. I know some of you may be worried that these recommendations won't work for you or aren't really different, but here's what I know. When implemented correctly and executed consistently, that's what gets results. So one thing you could do today would be as simple as just sending a thoughtful text to someone. saying, hey, I thought about you. I know it's getting close to the holidays and approaching the end of the year. I wanted to see how you were doing. When I first started working with my client, Lauren, she said she used to do handwritten cards, but she got too busy. And she'd send gifts to clients for life events like having a baby or buying a new house when she knew about it. So what we did was we developed an intentional client engagement plan with a process in place to know what was happening and consistently be able to engage with her clients in a meaningful way and her prospects. She's so excited to have a plan that will help take her from intentions to ensuring that they happen consistently, that she can consistently deliver that experience that she wants to provide. If I'd had more time, I teach you about how to leverage others and how to get more specific about your markets to help you accelerate your business as well. Today, we want to keep it really focused on these few areas that you can get started with. Because the one thing that you need to do is to take action. Remember, it's progress over perfection. So even if you don't have a plan, paying attention and acknowledging your clients, your prospects, and your business partners will take you light years ahead of your competition. So I have another poll for you. I'm going to launch here. Just a moment. Are you ready to take the challenge? Which are you committed to leveling up as you go into next year? Is it your client, your experience, how you nurture those relationships, or increasing consideration by being known, liked, and trusted? So if you're ready, you can select all that you're committing to, but only select the ones that you're really serious about accelerating in your business in 2022. Okay, give you just a little bit more time to think about that, of what you want to commit to and what that could do for you in the next year. Oh, that's all right, Amy. If you didn't know you could select more than one, I think it's still open. If you want to select another one, you might be able to do that. Okay, it looks like we have a lot of interest in enhancing the experience and nurturing relationships. Wonderful. Okay. One of the most common questions I get is, Jennifer, what separates the best from the rest? What are the best doing? And it's really about execution. You will likely have heard some of these ideas, but it's those that do them consistently and intentionally that see the results. Every day I work with advisors just like you to help them develop and implement right-sized marketing plans that deliver results. If you're ready to accelerate your business in the new year through more introductions, to make a bigger impact, and to generate more revenue, the next step for you is going to be to join the 12 Days of Clients Challenge. What it is a free and fun text challenge from January 4th through the 19th for just 12 minutes a day to complete a daily challenge for 12 days for a better 12 months ahead. Even better, we're going to have daily prizes and one grand prize winner for a prize valued at over $600. So I'm really excited to give that away. And what it does is provide you that jump start on your client acquisition efforts in a fun and engaging way that results in over 75 connections in just 12 days. I know you can do the math on what value that would do for you in your business. And what it means for you is that you don't have to do it alone or guess what you should do. You're surrounded by a group of supportive people all going through this with you. So whether you're struggling to get more introductions, you're looking for better introductions, or to create more advocates, as some of you said, you want to enhance that experience, the 12 Days of Clients Challenge will help you. So what you can do to get started is to go to playmakercoach.com and just scroll down on the page and you'll see this 12 Days of Clients. It gives you all the information on the challenge and the link to join now. So bonus, if you join now, you're going to get 5 bonus entries into the grand prize for doing it, as well by being on this webinar, just for those of you that join the webinar today. In addition, each person that you encourage to join the webinar and signs up as well, you get a bonus entry from them. So have fun and invite your peers to join you the challenge and go through it with you as well. The more fun it will be. And make sure that also by getting in at this before the holidays hit, before the 25th, you get 5 bonus entries as well. So picture a day when your ideal client comes up to you and says, I want to work for you. I want to work with you. Let's get started today. Picture a day when more of your leads are unsolicited. Picture a day when you have a steady stream of new clients coming in so you can spend time with the people that energize you and have the life and the business of your dreams. You know, you're going to feel so good. So I'll leave you with this. Now is the time to get a jump on 2022. Now's the time to quit chasing leads. Now's the time to play full out. Now is your time. So I want to open it up for questions now. And so if you want to stick around, I know we want to make sure we leverage your time, get you out of here early if we could today as the year end is approaching. But if you want to stick around, I'd be happy to ask your questions. Just feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask it live, or you can put it in the Q&A and we'll take it there. So I'm just going to check and see if there's anything already in the Q&A. And, you know, one of the most common questions I get from people is, how do I find time for marketing? And what I try to advise people on is, you know, it's about sales and marketing. Typically, we kind of compartmentalize those. But if you think about it as far as like SAM, as we like to call them, sales and marketing, they go hand in hand. So think about whether you're dating Sam today, you're engaged to Sam, you're married to Sam. But an easy place to start would be just starting with those 12 minutes a day and doing the things that we talked about today. And you'll be amazed at momentum from those small little things that you can truly build. You know, it's less about the sophistication and it's more about the consistency of whatever you're doing. What other questions are there? Looking in the chat. See if there's anything here. For some reason, I am not seeing my Q&A. So if you want to unmute yourself and just ask a question or put it in the chat, we'll make sure that we address it. Jaylena asks, how often do you recommend making custom posts on LinkedIn? So this does depend a little bit based off of, you know, your particular audience and what that looks like. But for most people, I would say is you probably want to be out there about 3 times a week. That's a pretty good frequency. It's not necessary, I don't think, to be out there every single day. And if you're leveraging some maybe company content, then you could actually do those custom posts. Maybe it's 1 in 5 of your posts that are those custom posts where you're really taking more of a personalized approach, increasing that know, like, trust factor of what's really going on day to day in your business, what you're hearing, what's experiences, occasions, what you're reading, those kinds of things. I would say, you know, 1 in 5 of those would be a good place to start. So keep it simple. You don't have to feel like you got to do it every single day by any means. Great question. Other questions? You're welcome. And even if it's not something we specifically address today, if there's other questions you have around your marketing going into the new year that you would like to ask, feel free to ask that as well. Okay. Well, we'll have time for one more question if anybody has one. Oh, I keep hitting the wrong button here. So if you didn't get your question answered or you don't want to ask it in this kind of format, would rather have an individual conversation about it, here's what you can do. Email me, Jennifer@playmakercoach.com, and we'll certainly get back with you and answer any questions that you didn't get answered today. So I appreciate all of you that have joined today. And, this has worked for so many other advisors and small business professionals. It can work for you too. So I encourage you to get started today and look forward to connecting with you more in the new year. Have a great afternoon.